más eres uno, eres yo.
Happy holidays! I've got a gift for you. Buy 4 tarot readings or coaching session gift codes in any combination, and you'll receive 2 additional gift codes too. So use all 6 codes for yourself or share them with friends and family as holiday gifts, stocking stuffers, or maybe even birthday presents. These don't expire, so you can feel free to use them and share them throughout the year. Merry Christmas, and thank you so much for being my friends. Hi there, Libra. This is your weekly reading for the week of December 21st. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you and yours. On Monday, the card that you've drawn is the Ace of Cups in reverse. So you could be feeling a little stressed out, and you might think that it's just about all the goings on and your work, your schedule, whatever. And it isn't. I think that you're just a little tired and in need of some kind of spiritual refreshment. And it could be that you just need a little more rest than you'd like to admit you need. You know how it is. I think sometimes we want to get more done because we have to, and we can say words like, well, I have no choice. I have to do this. I have to do that. I'm just so busy. And the truth is that if you got sick or something, for example, if you came down with a virus, God forbid, you'd end up in bed on your back for much longer than if you would have taken care of yourself before. So by taking that nap when you know you're feeling run down, by politely saying no to some wonderful invitation, but you're just physically aware of fatigue, or you're trying to get over the cold that never goes away. Those are all the body's cues to let you know that it's depleted. And even the human brain cannot repair itself without a decent 7 hours of sleep, and I mean at the minimum. And as we get older, we sleep less anyway, usually because our schedules and our burdens become so much that we can't fit more into the day. There aren't enough hours into the day. And if you find yourself saying those words, it isn't because you need to get up earlier before the rooster crows. It is that you need to find a way to prune a few of these extraneous activities that can be out. So if it means that you don't socialize as much, then you do that until you feel better. And then don't go crazy, like using up all that energy as soon as you barely feel better. You need to take it easy. The hypothalamus is feeling taxed over time. We think we feel better, and then we walk outside feeling like Superman in a tank top or a bathing suit, and it's 30 degrees outside. And I'm saying that because I've done it, so it's not that the body can't keep up. It's that we're taxing it more beyond reason, more beyond more beyond what's acceptable for even just I would say general health requirements. I don't tend to go exactly by the timelines and constructs that doctors have set up, I tend to go a little higher and go to teaching hospital information, Mayo Clinic, any other teaching hospital that you can get information from readily on the web that's cutting edge. And then, sometimes we get in with the younger doctors because they're more available. They've got more appointments because, they're trying to book time, book hours. And they're going by these very strict rules, basically, that they learned just before they got out of school. And I used to think that that would mean that they're more on the forefront of cutting edge kind of ideas. And I found out that that's totally not true. They're more prone to stick to the books or the protocol or the pharmacology. And then it takes them a long time to feel comfortable and to use their intuition. So at the same time, physician, heal thyself. That's what you need to do. So the Ace of Cups could be indicating that you're just feeling a little run down, and a spiritual and an emotional renewal could help you feel better kind of momentarily with an uplifting movie, but you really need to rest the body and make it sleep. Sometimes I'll tell people, then you're going to have to take NyQuil or some Tylenol PM, something to make you sleep, even if you have to correct that sleep schedule. Now, on Monday, we've got Mercury in Capricorn sextiling Chiron in Pisces. Capricorn, your solar fourth house of home and family. That seems to be where all the communication and where all the movement and where all of the thinking and where your thoughts go. And so everything is about home and family to you, whatever home and family means to you. It doesn't have to be mom, dad, and 2.5 kids and a dog, a cat, and 2 vehicles. Home is where your heart is and where your thoughts and your sweetness goes. So Chiron in Pisces, Pisces being your solar 6th house of work and daily activities, you seem to be going into this kind of overtime, and you're trying to provide and meet tons of obligations, and you're doing really well. But again, I want you to remember that Chiron can sometimes make a person go Super Saiyan. And what I mean by that is they think they can, so they will at all costs. And so you can imagine this is the hero. This is the guy that you say, you can't move that refrigerator. You're going to have to wait until next week when we can get 6 people. And then they act like my dad used to, which was not a good idea. He would put that refrigerator on his back and do something that I've only seen. Oh, I can't remember if it was Lou Ferrigno did it in California. I can't remember. But I believe he's one of the guys who did it. And I think somebody else attempted it and ended up with a compound fracture. And I don't want to even talk about that. So I want to get that out of my mind. But you get the idea. Chiron can almost create a person to feel a sense of, gosh, this is a part of my personality, but tell me that I can't do something. I will go do it just to prove, once I'm at that point, which I'm a Scorpio sun and a Virgo rising. So you can imagine I want to prove that technically everyone can do this, yet I'm going to do it based on just sheer stubbornness to show you that don't tell me you can, no, don't say no to me. So that's the kind of attitude that sometimes goes with Chiron. And in an activated sense, when it's in the lower part of transiting astrology, it makes us think, wow, so this person's really focusing on home and family, and home is where your heart is. And it's Christmas week and the 6th house is activated. We got a hero here. So remember that we all love a hero. We all love a superhero, but don't end up hurting yourself in the process. When you need rest, you need rest. I guarantee you that your family loves you no matter what you do. The sun also enters Capricorn. So again, there's another huge highlight for you, especially for Libra rising types. And this will actually illuminate this area and bring almost rays of sunshine. And I always think of the tarot card, the sun. That happiness and joy is really emanating here. And there are going to be some of you who may feel that there's an organic level of healing coming, that even if you have been through some difficulties related to your home, your family, your stability, maybe you've been involved in a divorce or a contentious custody issue, or your actual home roof over your head was compromised or at risk thereof. And so then you feel the excitement that, wow, even if I'm in a shelter because that's where I need to be so that no one can say I can't have my kids, or if I've moved into this decent, non-cigarette smelling, non-prostitute boulevard motel, I will get my children and I can see them. So, wow, a roof over my head, as long as it's basic and it meets the criterion, I am good. So there could be a ray of hope there, and you'll see that home and stability, as they factor in, are going to play a big role. And you'll see that now you can actually relax and smile about it. I know you've been through a lot. You've been through Saturn in Scorpio, Saturn in Libra, then it was in Scorpio. Now in Sagittarius, your solar third house of communications is just asking you to at times be more serious about your communications, or to be more professional, or to be more honest and authentic about yourself. And it could involve a whole lot of scheduling. And also Saturn in your solar third house could be saying, what's your sleep schedule like, dude? Do you just go to work, do your thing, go be with the girlfriend, run around? This sounds like my son. Be there, do what she wants, provide for her, provide for my family, provide for do my good job, and I got to go back to school. Saturn is going to say you can do all of the above, but you need to have a schedule. Like, you need to start setting schedules for young people. Of course, we know that they might have a hard time with this, and we're the ones saying, look, it is so much easier if you just start to commit to a schedule, hit the marks on hour intervals, work from there, see if you can get used to this. Don't become anxious about the schedule, but routines become important when the sixth house is activated, and it's doing that for you. Mars in Libra will also semi-sextile Jupiter in Virgo. So Libra, your solar first house, with all this energy that you're like the little engine that could, and it does. And it goes from saying, I think I can, to I will always be able to. And then we're like, hey, save some of that power for everything else that you need to, including, yourself. So Jupiter in Virgo, your solar 12th house, will just help you come up with or organically find opportunities where the past can be put away now. You can do anything and transform even the worst childhood into something beautiful by providing the right childhood for your children or your nieces and nephews, being there for people, maybe becoming a big brother or big sister, maybe being part of a sponsorship program like Rotary or Kiwanis, where you donate your time or money to help young people do the right thing and get to their events and show them that we want to see them achieve. These are ways that you can resolve it. And I've just given you a few of those ideas, so go with it. On Tuesday, we've got the Four of Pentacles. So I like that I see you're feeling better. Don't get too over concerned with finances and where the next dollar is coming from. That right there will already cause a person to be anxious. I'm not the type that buys into the power of self-suggestion. To me, might as well be a psychosomatic scenario. I think it's wonderful when we use it to empower ourselves and to say, I can do this. I'm going to get better. I'm going to do really well on this exam. I am going to really rock my job, get my performance, keep copies, and know that I'm ready for my review. Or you go to have your thesis challenged and you're like, boxing gloves, bring it on. So I just don't want you to become over concerned with it, because you guys could get a little anxious around this time of year, and you could be feeling like, well, I just want to give gifts to all the people that I love. Do you know that the people who love you, they just want you to love them? They don't really need or want anything from you. It reminds me of my son, where he really thrives on the confirmation, the validation that he has provided for us and done all these things. He doesn't want to be stroked for it. He is able, because, mom's been good at raising him. He's been able to articulate words to let me know that he likes to feel that he's doing a good job providing for us. That's the cue for mommy to say, but you always do a good job every day. Every day. We appreciate you. He's not looking for strokes or comfort or sunshine up his ass. He is looking for mom and others to give the validation. You are amazing, which he is. So this is where I want you to release your concerns about finances, because you're good. You know, the Four of Pentacles is definitely you are okay. It means that your foundation is secure. Your living situation is secure. Your work and income situation is secure. That doesn't mean that there can't be the typical things or a row at work or somebody's being a jerk. This is just to say that you are okay. So if you feel like, but I'm going to run out of money, don't think that way, because all it's going to do is breed anxiety. I want you to say words like this. The universe has its funny little tricks up its sleeve. And I love my favorite Star Wars quote, which is Qui-Gon Jinn. You guys will remember this one. A solution will present itself. I tell people to remember that when Qui-Gon Jinn is walking with Obi-Wan Kenobi and they're Watto's shop, and Watto doesn't want to take Dactarian credits, and, you know, Jedi mind tricks don't work on Watto. And his face is totally serene and calm because Qui-Gon Jinn knows that a solution will present itself. Why? Typical physics properties. If there's a void, something tries to fill it, you know, so you'll be just fine. Just don't fill the void with things like anxiety, or what are you going to get? More anxiety. Yes, kids. Yes, kids. You got that right. Wednesday, we've got the Justice card. And so this is a card that indicates that things are fair and balanced. And wouldn't that just be perfect for you? Libra always wants balance. Libra seeks balance. They love symmetry, harmony. They can make really great artists for this reason. They can find a juxtaposition and somehow even imagine in a mixed media art scenario, we're like, what the hell? And then we go, oh, and then like moth to flame, we're stuck there viewing this. It's happened to me at the local college where, you know, I couldn't walk away. There was one piece of art in particular that my mother thought looked like a bloody crime scene. Then we found out later that's pretty much what it was, and I just couldn't move. I was stuck in front of this wall. That was incredible. You know, so the Justice card also wants you to remember that everything is in balance, that good will be rewarded with good, that kindness will be rewarded with kindness, that being fair and balanced causes more balanced and fairness. So don't worry. If you're a little bit upset, some of you are going to be feeling like, you know what? I know I got screwed over here. Or you'll feel that someone close to you got screwed over somewhere. I guarantee you that you don't have to lift a finger to take any action on this. It will correct itself. The appropriate systems will insert themselves. Karma's a bitch. You get it. You know, this isn't necessarily the karmic card, but talk to people that are on the other end of that sword, and they'll be like, oh, you know, and then we have to say, hey, do you remember when you caused that person a lot of heartache? They're like, whoa, I didn't hurt anybody. And then you say, remember when you caused them many sleepless nights and they were crying and their children were hungry. Well, you know, then they might start to believe you, and then they find Jesus in prison, and then they come back out, and as soon as they get some wind under their wings, they start screwing people again. So trust me, everything will be okay. If you're involved in a situation where you've been afraid, somewhat afeared, as it were, of a situation not panning out for you fairly, that you're afraid that, you know, justice, what will it be? What will it mean? Trust me that no matter what the outcome is, it will be fair. Let's say that you're waiting to hear about a bonus at work. Even if it's $30 and a turkey, I want you to know that that's probably all the company really could afford, regardless of what they patted their asses with at the top. That's just what they set aside. So in essence, if they can't kick over more, it isn't because you didn't do better, that somebody else did better than you. It's just because that's what they've chosen. So it almost seems like an imbalance, but at that point, it is just what the company as, I wanted to say organism, and then I thought disgusting things, but as kind of a functioning thing, this is what it set aside. Okay, so it'll be okay. And for those of you that are awaiting information, especially on a legal matter, if one applies, then you could see how this will go your way, and justice will prevail. Now, on Thursday, this one's probably scaring the crap out of you. And let me get it out of the way real quick. So the Ten of Swords is actually a good card in my mind because I don't like to see the Nine of Swords. That's the one where I want to lay a brick. It's the one that scares me because I know what it's like to be in a Nine of Swords moment. The 10 means that's it. Nothing else can happen here. So if you're in a situation where you really felt like, I'm thinking of my son's vehicle, I wanted to get 10 more miles out of this. Well, you got enough. I wanted to get 2 more years out of this. Well, no, that's not what you're getting because it's done enough. And then when you have to sit down and figure out, well, what do I do next? Mom says the astrology is not right for buying a new car. That's a 10 of Swords moment. Damn. Do I listen to that? Do I take a chance? Oh, my sources say no. Well, that means I'm kind of in this holding pattern until, in my case with him, I said February, mid-February, let's get a car for you mid-February, right? And so in that case, yeah, you kind of feel like, the buck stops here. So with that said, if you've been in a situation, some of you, it will actually be a legal situation. I don't know why I get this feeling that for those of you that are in this divorcing stage, it's almost like I want to say words like this. And all right, so this is the creepy psychic information. It will apply to the people that understand what I'm saying. It's like this divorce, this end, it was a long time coming. The other person did not want to accept it. I have to say this. So in a situation that might not just be like paramour, I'm thinking more of partnered, whether you have a legal marriage or it's just become, oh gosh, I don't know why this fades from my mind, but the states that have a legal marriage is just basically defined. I think California, it used to be 7 years. Other states might have their time frame, but usually a common law marriage. That's the term I was looking for. Okay, so it could even be that you guys have been separated for so long. It's like, what the hell? Why was this held up? Well, sometimes people get guilty and they don't want to let go, or they could be incredible jerks like my ex-husband, the last one, where it's like, damn, you just have to punish me for freaking almost a decade. And so I kind of joke about it and I tell people it's because I'm so freaking amazing, that you can't just let me go. I wanted to get cut loose and you had to chase me with a knife, right? Literally at one point. And so I bring that up because I don't think you're the problem. I'm going to tell you this, Libra. I think you've wanted out, and then there are going to be, I'm looking at my hand and thinking just a small handful. Okay, so back to the psychic thing, let me tell you, those of you who have that situation where you recognize what I'm telling you, it's been over for a long time. It almost seems like the signature wasn't applied or the document wasn't received, or you were separated in physical distance. And I don't know what you guys were thinking. Maybe it was that kind of denial of not wanting to deal with it because you didn't want to hurt the other person or you didn't want to hear the other person. Okay, so psychic information for the Libra people who are acting weird. Where I'd have to say, again, there's going to be a natal chart anomaly that would explain this. That's why I tell people, learn to study your own natal charts. Learn it. It's very easy. You don't have to learn it overnight. You don't have to be like a freaking ninja and decide that overnight you're going to know it all, because none of us know it all. We're always learning and sharing with each other and testing and experimenting as well. There's going to be a very small minority of you that are going to say, well, Rita said I'm not the problem, so it's not me. I will tell you exactly the definition of where the problem is. If you've put up with the spouse that cheated on you, you're going to hate me for this, and I love you, so don't get mad at me, okay? If your husband or wife cheated on you, and you stayed in this marriage knowing that that already puts you into, let's call it a deccan, a group of people who are going to carry this to the freaking grave. I'm not sure why'd you stay together. Some of you would have had kids together subsequently after that indiscretion. those are the ones that I'm going to have to reverse and say, you should have known, you should have cut this person loose. They've been miserable for so long. I'm not saying that, because babies, whether we planned them or didn't, there's going to be a segment of you that'll write me and say, well, Rita, and I kept having miscarriages and I kept having these problems. And so I really wanted to have children with them. I'd be like, oh, yeah. Sometimes the universe is saying, not with this person. I could tell you, I know all about that. And not saying that your children aren't supposed to be here, because even if you brought them down forcefully, or with the assistance of a laboratory or something like that, you have to take the children out of the equation and stop and think about what is your partner feeling? How does your partner feel? What is their real truth if they could talk to you without you going crazy? Okay, so let's just look at this. You can't be mad at me because I don't really know who you are. I'm doing something a little different, but there is a segment of you that are going to totally know what I'm talking about. At that point, I'm going to say, well, you've almost superimposed your feelings, your attitudes, your requirements, what they owe you because of what they've done to you when you put yourself in the victim role rather than kicking them to the curb and saying, get the hell out of my face. Okay? For whatever reason you felt you had to do that, you can't expect a happy relationship when it's very difficult to get over an indiscretion in a relationship. Trust me, I've counseled people through this. I really wish they'd all get divorces, and the sooner the better. The younger the kids, the better. And so I know that sounds harsh, but I'm telling you, I know why. And out of experience with these people, vicariously, if you will, but right up in their faces, with them telling me everything they wish they could say. So I want you to consider that sooner or later, you have to come to the realization that maybe you need to hear your partner. Maybe when they say, well, oh, God forbid, but let's say somebody cheated on you again. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but let's just think about a worst case scenario. I want you to calmly say, tell me why you did it. Why did you think it was okay? Why did you feel entitled? What made you feel like you needed to do this? Were you proving something? Were you trying to hurt me? Were you exacting revenge, hoping I wouldn't find out about it? What was it? You know what? When you stay calm and very controlled and your face is not all screwed up and, you're looking like you're going to murder, that's when you can get that other person to say something like this. You never have sex with me. You bitch about everything. I'm not saying that these are valid excuses. I'm saying what people can articulate at the end before they say, I'm just not happy in this. A lot of factors go into why people cheat on each other. It really is not as common as people think. I sometimes have to tell cheaters, well, what goes around comes around, right? If you stole that wife from somebody and kept her, let me guarantee you, you know what's coming. And it is not across the board 100%, but it does happen very often. So if you're sitting there going, I've always wanted to really kill my husband in his sleep or stab him repeatedly, but these are fantasies. We will leave them there in the mind. But, he pisses me off because I just can't forget about the fact that he cheated on me. And, I've always wanted to just scream at him. And I'm thinking, well, why don't you scream at him? That, that's something that probably should have come out in therapy. Pull out the pool noodles or the Nerf gun. Just make sure people don't get actually injured in your office. If you're a therapist in this kind of therapy, you know what I'm talking about. I call it immersion therapy. We're just going to get down in your funk, and get in there with you to get everybody angry and to get them to the point where they say it all, cry, have an attack, say it again, So my message for people with this 10 of Swords is almost trifold. So for some of you, it's just going to be typical on the surface, like, damn, that car isn't going to start again. Yep. I see. We're through. We have to think carefully now. All right, that's a good one. Think on it. Ride share. Try to take it easy. This could be really where you're done with the pain of your past, where you say, screw that crap. Yeah, I know my dad was an asshole, and that's fine. It haunts me. Every time my mother says, I don't want you to be like your dad. And people like me will be like, please, I was married to that person. And so you need to just be able to realize, wow, it is something that can't be rectified. It can't be rehabilitated. It cannot be resurrected for correction or for me to deck you. This is really where we realize it is the end. That means that we need to create the new beginning. Now, there are going to be those of you that are also in that relationship status where, God, I'm having a hard time with this one, but it's like you're married, but not cohabitating, but you act married, or one of you tells people that you're legally married, but you're not, which to me, it's like, what's the real issue then? What do you care what people think? Then in the other side, the kind of of the trifold, is where there's going to be a group of you that I'm telling you with the first group, the ones that are not married and there's some lack of harmony there. Those are the ones that I can say, Libra, it's not your fault. The group that is able to identify with the cheating wife, the cheating husband, something that already happened. Those are the ones that I really want to ask you, why are you still in this? Do you want to hold this person hostage now because you made babies? Can a trial separation maybe help you figure out if you guys are even friends? So often people make so much better parents when they're actually not married. Like when they're in separate houses, it seems like the kids thrive, everybody's happy. Those are the ones that go, oh, shucks, yeah, I know, I really don't want to kill you. Yeah, I really don't want to have to cut off the top of you, So this is where I'm more concerned that this week is not the one to actually go Super Saiyan. So for those of you that have regular financial issues, concerns about work and stuff, just stop. Don't worry about it. A solution will present itself. The vehicle can be replaced. Solutions will find their way to you once you can understand what you're doing. Don't rush into anything, especially as it involves whether replacing a vehicle or something major like that. Let's get a good one about your house, since we've got emphasis in the fourth. The frickin' furnace goes out and you live in Michigan. Well, we have an issue, but you could get through the winter by borrowing heating units. And I bet you if you have a financial need and you have kids in that house, oh my, you could call these rental agencies and you call your local 211 or you get some help and say, money is really tight. I'm really concerned. Is there any way we could borrow portable heaters? Can we get a break? Can the county assist us? And or somebody may say, hey, look, you put the word in at different churches with your friends. You don't have to be a member of the dang church. And then they will actually help you. Then you don't have to worry, holy crap, where am I going to get $1,800 to make this thing come back to life? Or if you're renting and the landlord says something like, yeah, that sucks. Bullshit. Because I'm telling you, it's illegal to rent a house that way unless you're illegally renting. There are options for you. But the relationship ones were for both of you who are married or not married or living together, or there's something very strange about this. It's really not your fault. That person is having some issues. I think you could kind of gently bring up different topics, or if they come up organically, but chill and don't get too aggressive about it. If you can, just kind of table it for a while. Don't concern yourself so much. Just, keep things chill. For those of you that identify with the cheating spouse scenario in whatever way it fits for you, those are the ones that I really need you to think a little bit about yourself. Why are you still in it? I'm not saying that it's your fault they cheated, and because your nose is twisted a little bit here, then you should be cheated on. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that somewhere there is a karmic kind of replay. It's an instant replay, and it's going to just keep happening until you dig down deep to figure out, really, in the bottom line, what is it that makes you stay with somebody who could have done that to you? And if you ever want motivation, I want you to watch Jerry Springer. I'm not even kidding. If you think you've got a bad situation, watch Jerry Springer. There's going to be all kinds of cray. And then there's also going to be civil, where we're like, wow, I've seen a handful of girls on there that I was thinking they could have been models. They could have been television personalities, weather persons. And then I'm looking at what they're struggling with. And then, one of them the other day, I watched her crying her eyes out. Well, because I love him. Why are you with him? If he hurts you, why do you stay? Asks the wise and sage Jerry Springer. And she said, well, because I love him, or I think I do. And we're like, yes. Little bubblehead, the ray of sunshine. Come on. Well, I suppose it's not a good thing he's doing to me. I mean, I've done everything. I provide for him. He don't work, I do. You know, he gets to sit there and eat his junk food and smoke his cigarettes, and I come home and take care of everything. And he's cheated on me. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to have to come down there. I'm going to have to find her, and I'm going to have to pull her out of there. We're going to have to put her in life rehab to get her to understand she's much more valuable than that. Not because of her appearance, but because of her innocence. She just doesn't realize that that guy sucks. So think about that, those of you. Now here, I know you're looking at this going, Rita, what the hell? Okay, don't worry. Chill again. The Judgment card in reverse could be that kind of balance that I'm talking about, that for some of you it's kind of like everything's fine and justice will prevail, and you know, you can be Mighty Mouse or Superman, but remember to watch your health and to not go saving people from their lessons, if you know what I mean. And at the same time, there's going to be this other group that just kind of seemed to me to be, I want to say, parallel and contra-parallel. It kind of just wants to fit in there. So let me make a comment about the 24th, because Venus in Scorpio sextiles Jupiter in Virgo. And Venus in Scorpio for you is your second house. There's a tie to money here. There could be an irritation that can be easily corrected by first talking to yourself. So think about your hidden motivations, such as if you feel sorry for people because of poverty that you've experienced, relative poverty, which, hey, look, a lot of us operate below the poverty line. And, you know, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's more common than people think. And so sometimes we grow up with these kind of unique perspectives on lack and abundance, on give, take, and even provide and give shirt off back. And then you're the one running around when it's 22 degrees and the wind chill is -4. So what I want to say about this, if you're having difficulty in a relationship that's causing you some concern about how much sharing is appropriate, you need to watch your reaction time right about Thursday and Friday, because you could suddenly be like, oh, hell no. You know, I just bought you all this, did all that, made it magic happen. I made it snow in Palm Springs, and you are now I got to pay for all 4 of your utilities. And you're like, what the hell? Well, it's because you're nice and that's what you love to do. Libra loves to give people gifts, and they give good gifts. If you ever want to receive in fact, I would like any Libra who feels like it to send me a freaking gift. I'll give you my PO box. You guys really choose really nice gifts, and you seem to know where, like, sometimes, you know how we as women, we think, is this person motivated by my boobs? Oh, my butt? Is that why you gave me this thing? You could usually tell by the gift. Somebody is really trying to intellectualize your relationship, or at least cover up the whatever they want to talk about that will or won't pop up kind of thing. You could tell by the gift. Usually men who really want to let you know, if you're a woman, if they really want you to know that it isn't about your body or, you know, sexuality or anything, then they'll buy you something like a journal or a book, or they'll give you a gift card and say, go shop, shop, shop. Or yet they will pick you something beautiful like a vase that is not phallic. And then the guys that are really after you, I have to tell you a quick story, because you know I do this, but one boyfriend tried to make up to me for being a dick. And I think that's when he flipped me off in a game of Monopoly. Do you know that man was lucky he lived? I would have gone Lorena Bobbitt on his finger, at least, if not his. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was so ghetto, and it was so indicative, you know, and I was just playing fun because I was winning. We're playing Monopoly. What do you think I'm going to do? I swing from chandeliers. It's not like I really think this is serious business. I don't get that freaky. And then I think that's when he made up by buying me a gift. And I'm going, oh, okay, so I know what he usually does. He usually goes to Bath and Body Works and buys a bunch of stuff he wants to rub on me, because I remember he told me he used to do that to his wife, which was a stupid thing to say. And then I pull the gift out, and it is freaking lingerie, and worse, from a supermarket clothing store. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I got really upset, and I wish I would have said the words that I wanted to say. I wanted to say, so you flip me off in Monopoly, and I know that you're half idiot. Then you bring me a gift to appease me or to make peace with me, and you bring me lingerie, which lets me know you're hoping you can crawl up on top of me and wiggle something sweaty. I think I should have punched him in the face. Anyway, I'm not trying to promote violence, but you guys give really good gifts. I guess my whole point of that is to say that you're always so loving and giving, and you give such good, appropriate gifts. Very intelligent about your gift selection. Very intelligent. And probably one of the best. And I mean it. So anyway, Libra, you may have gotten somebody accustomed to saving their ass. And now you're like, oh my God, but I'm trying to, now you want me to bring asteroids in for Christmas. And how the hell do I rent the reindeer? Now so there could be an issue there that you just need to think it through. It could be coming from your generosity is a little too generous. I'm sorry that I can't find a better word for it. And that maybe you've accustomed somebody to this because you're so loving and sweet, but it could be starting to get on your nerves because you really know the value of $1, and you may have had a lack experience when you were younger, gone through hard times like so many of us, and then you really love to see people happy, so you love to provide, but then you have to kind of step back, especially if this is with your children, because you may be screwing up the message from the universe. We don't just throw a bunch of freaking gifts at people. I like to make a cake, and it's very subdued and quiet here. We sing happy birthday to Jesus. We exchange a token of affection, and that is it. We celebrate being together and loving each other. It isn't about gifts. I used to live in that fantasy world because of my ex-in-laws who would give us outrageous sums of money and then freaking make us prove everything we bought for those kids. We had to spend every penny, and I remember saying to my ex-husband, can't we save some of it for bills? How about the taxes? I had to pay $6,000 in taxes at one point. Okay. So this wasn't a joke. And he was like, no, we have to spend all of it and we have to give him the receipts. I was thinking, F you people, that is so messed up. And then if I bought too many clothes for the kids, they get pissed. Well, how many toys do kids actually need? And then one of the last things that happened before we moved out of California the last time was, or that time, my kids still had unopened Christmas presents because they got tired of opening Christmas presents and started freaking falling asleep. Okay, that was not okay. I came from lack and I wanted everybody to have everything. But if it was my choice, honestly, we would have been paying some bills to take the pressure off of my ex-husband and even me. I was working from my home and sometimes I thought I was going to lose my mind. So, just consider it that way. I guess I'm giving you this little lecture because I don't want you guys have a tendency to feel bad for feeling like you need to somehow, put a limit on this gift giving. And I'm thinking, but you have to put gas in your car and you have to pay for your auto insurance. You got to keep the lights on. I know Christmas is wonderful. Maybe buy the token of affection and then say to your kids, and when Santa Claus gets back in his frickin' ride, when he's up in his hoopty, we go to the sales when the stores are dead. And I think I've told you guys a story about a girlfriend I went to school with when we were a kid, and they were the sweetest, most angelic. This woman had done a superb job, single mother, kids, tiny apartment, didn't have much means. And they, to this day, I know at least one of the daughters is an amazing human being, and she has everything she needs, but she remains very humble. She actually did very well in life. A lot of us alumni will know which Debbie I'm talking about. She came from a very humble beginning, and she's a completely, totally healthy, very elevated spiritual individual. I can see it without even having to talk to her. So now back to this judgment card. My thought is this: you're going to be okay, and then somebody else is not really having the best time. Let me stop there and direct my discourse to the small percentage of Libras who can identify with the cheating partner thing. You're not going to really be feeling this, and at some point you're going to have to say, we got to do something about this. So I'm not trying to screw up your Christmas. It's going to come up for those of you in that category. I just want to be there to say you don't have to solve it today. You don't have to solve it this week. I just want you to kind of keep the lid on the emotions, because a Cancer moon for you guys, just for, of course, solar astrology, Libra, very specifically Libra ascendant or rising, is in your 10th house. So it's very out there, and there could be a little bit of an outburst, and it could be kind of an exciting one where you say many truths, which is really great, but we just don't want all these people around. You don't want the in-laws around. You don't want the kids around. Have your truthy moments when the kids are doing something else, and maybe buy some pool noodles or Nerf guns and, just beat each other up in a bedroom like that, or just, pillow fight until you rage quit or something. So remember that that's what the feeling could be. Now, another aspect of the Christmas Eve with this Gemini moon is that I hope you guys don't need to go shopping on Christmas Eve, because Gemini moon will go void, of course. I think it's 9:26 p.m. I think it's p.m. in Pacific Standard Time. So consider that you probably won't know what you're doing anyway. Your brains will be a little bit scrambled, and you may just feel like, oh, look, check that out. The bank account is nil. Good. That's the universe saying, not right now. You're done. That's good enough. If you forgot a gift for somebody and you feel that bad, don't go to their house and say that you have explosive diarrhea. I love that option. And then show up at a later date, and especially when you can get a discount and buy something and they don't need to know where you got it from or how much you paid for it. It doesn't really matter. Okay, but you guys who are such wonderful gift givers, you guys are the best. I want your presents. How about you make me cookies or something? You guys are really good at making things beautiful. Cakes. I've got a cousin who makes cakes in such a way that I feel like she just needs to quit her job and she just needs to go to a museum and make museum cakes. I don't know. I've seen this and I'm like, boy, she was a terror when she was a child, and she's the master manipulating confections. And so maybe she channeled her energy, because she is really, really good, like really good. Anyway, I love that kid, and I really used to think, what are we going to do with this kid and her temper? Nobody's hearing me on this. And then I see it channeled into things that I don't know how she did that, because all of my cakes are crap. You can eat them and you won't die, but they're ugly. And I had a crying jag. I don't know if I told you guys, it was a particular New Year's Eve party, and there were going to be a bunch of Mormon people there, and for somehow I thought that this needed to mean that my cake would be perfect, and that's impossible. And it was made from scratch, and I told the kids, don't jump around in the kitchen, especially because 100-and-something-year-old farmhouse, basement, all of that. So I'm like, don't make big noises, okay? Don't touch the stove. So that my precocious youngest was the one who didn't open the oven, but he sure as hell did open the bottom drawer and slammed it. I came running out of my bedroom screaming, and then I lost it. But I was also in the middle of a divorce too, so I got to say I was totally out of control. Started crying, hit the floor. I just wanted to die, and then my son was saying things like, I'm so sorry. Can we fix it? And I was finally like, so what I did is I made a batch of this homemade kind of confection frosting, stuffed it, and called it a damn volcano and called it good. And then these Mormon people were like, this is so good. And I'm like, yeah, it looks like hell. And then this guy ate a ton of it to impress me, because he was such an angel sweetheart. And he just stuffed his face. I'm like, that guy's going to have such diarrhea in the morning. But anyway, so just know there are surprises in store for you. And I really got to say this. Most of you, I'm going to say 3/4 of you, are going to really like the anticipation of enjoying just the excitement of seeing the people you love. And then there's going to be a sliver. I want to call it a quarter, but I really would like to just say, look, 2 of you, but are going to be the ones with the identifying with the cheating. And this could be a very old cheatation, to quote Wendy Williams. But this is one of these things where it's old and it could be provoked. So I'm just saying, look, if you don't involve alcohol, nobody's going to die. You don't have to go ghetto or be nuts or hit somebody in the back of the head with a frying pan. You'll go to the clink, so just don't do it. On Friday with this full moon in Cancer, that's 3 degrees, Cancer being your solar 10th house. Check your transiting astrology, your natal chart, even to know what you've got at 3 degrees, and maybe just look and see if you can sniff around anything that looks amazing. The trine to Neptune I like. Neptune in Pisces, the 6th house, will help you feel better if you get some rest. I think that if you tell yourself, if I think I'm going to lose my mind at this function with these people I don't even like anyway, then stay home and take a nap, make popcorn, and watch one of those Christmas movies. I've never seen that Miracle on 34th Street ever in my life. I get too annoyed. Just for some reason, I can't deal. Maybe I'll have to watch it. I'm more of an Elf person, and that makes me happy. But do something like watch Elf. I think also Uranus direct at this point, 7:52, I think, Pacific, will be direct in Aries, your solar 7th house. So, surprises abound. And I'm going to quote again that very small sliver of people who could have difficulties. Yep, it could be right there in that relationship. So maybe schedule being in a safe and sane place. Lock yourself in a rubber room. I'm not really intimating that you should lock yourself, but crazy things have happened. Mercury in Capricorn, which is again that solar fourth house of your home and foundation, will semi-square Neptune in Pisces. So, just try to keep it chill at home. If you have children, make sure that you don't wreck their holiday. Be nice to each other, even if you're whispering, when the kids are asleep, I will choke you and I'll let you live with me. Just watch what you're doing, because you don't want the kids to know. It just messes them up, and then we could become scarred and wounded inner child adults. Mercury in Capricorn will trine Jupiter in Virgo as well. So I think that you should just focus on healing yourself, asking yourself, most of you who can identify with the more stressful part of this 12th house idea, focus on healing yourself. Focus on healing yourself and saying it's okay to not relive past life karma. That just because a situation seems familiar doesn't mean that you have to have anything to do with it anymore. If you say pretty much that's it, I'm done, then, wait about mid-February before you make an announcement, because people be going back together when Mercury's in shadow about to go retrograde. So, I would say just wait it out, take a chill, relax. You don't have to sleep with the person. I mean, just look at that person as a human who is suffering in some way just like you. And I'm not saying to make excuses, but, excuses never hurt anybody. Friday, also, we've got the sun to parallel Mercury. So I even think that will give you a bigger boost. The sun will already be in Mercury, in Capricorn, excuse me. So these communications about your home and your home environment could have some surprising little things. I was going to say surprising surprises. I sound like a video game. And then again, there could be, hopefully there's some physical distance between those of you that are more combative. And I really feel that if the combative part starts up and you're one of the people going, what the hell? And then all of a sudden you were hit in the face with like a pie. I think that you could probably have detected the crazy coming on with these people. If they're going to hit you with a physical object and it's not even funny, then you probably would do well to stay in an environment that's safe, where I'm not even kidding. Do I sound like I'm kidding? Because I'm not kidding. If with family or have people visit, not like a brother or sister-in-law that could become one of the victims, or antagonists, just kind of, be chill and enjoy it. Venus will help you very much to soften the edges. If you say, look, sweetheart, no, we can't buy another stand mixer. You have to, it'll help you say better words than what I just did here too. Then on Saturday, after we get past the judgment, we have the Six of Pentacles. I'm positive that bigger fraction of you are really going to enjoy watching people love you in return for all the sweetness you give. You guys, when you're normal and healthy, like the rest of us, and I'm not as normal and healthy as you think. When you guys are doing really well, you guys have no difficult aspects, or let's just say that you're not born with some coming in to life playing on hard mode kind of astrology, horoscope, then most of you are just the sweetest, wonderful, sweeter than Gemini because you really mean it, more loving than Pisces because you're not lying to us. You guys are sweet, sweet. I don't know if I could marry you, but I could eat you up in a bowl, but I think that people are going to show you a lot of love. Venus and Scorpio will sextile the North Node in Virgo. Again, so much indication about healing the past, letting it go, transforming it into something useful for the future. Maybe you write a book. Maybe you tell a story. Maybe you overshare. Do it. Everyone does. Enjoy yourself. Work these things out and say, I've always thought that I was fighting in a Russian Republic. Putin doesn't piss me off, but everybody hates him. I just haven't felt like killing him yet. Maybe you do have a past life connection that is kind of hindering you. Figure out the story, meditate on it, do some regression therapy. You could do it on your own. I've done it for other people. I really need to be with you to do it. I've tried it over the phone and, it's kind of, The better effect is when I'm in the room looking intimidating, which I have to try really hard to do. Anyway, Mars in Libra will also semi-square Saturn and Sagittarius. So again, a little bit of stress there in the communication that gets a little bit close to home. Keep your communications structured. Keep them on some kind of a reliable and sane format. Because if you blow off a lot of steam and say, your face pisses me off, do you not get it, woman? That's probably not going to go over too well. Venus and Scorpio will semi-sextile Mars in Libra. Again, there is a concern, if not potential for discussion that can solve problems. Maybe you've already communicated, hey, I'm not going to be able to meet this obligation. You in this with me? Did you not overspend? Do you still have the $200 I gave you and said, put it under the butter dish, like Rita said, because thieves and, and then find out if the money is still there. You might find out that the money isn't there, but that's okay because you can't kill a person and get away with it. Moon in Cancer will go void, of course, on this afternoon. So kind of, I just don't think that I'm not one of those people into shopping after the holidays. In fact, I want to kick people who do, because then I think about the retailers who keep their slaves working. And even though there's great deals and stuff, could we please just have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after? Can we leave it alone so that people can be, America? That's all I got to say. So we also have on Sunday the Two of Wands, which is great because it kind of rounds out this feeling. You get to a point where you're not feeling quite off kilter. I really don't want to say it's you. I keep thinking, boy, who is this person, who's kind of, like for the most part, you guys have somebody that is maybe just, you want to say words like bane of my existence, thorn in my side. She's kind of cute, but ow, or he pisses me off. He's got good abs. I haven't wanted to hurt him yet. So there could be more of a sense of getting it back together. It doesn't have to be a relationship thing. It is just about you feeling a little bit more balanced here by the time we reach the end of the week. And Mercury in Capricorn will trine the North Node in Virgo. Again, I think that's where you really find your direction. Something about home, something about your childhood. It could be a very early or a childhood experience or a past life association. Some of you might say, Rita, I wasn't nursed as a child. Okay, those things can be worked through as well. Makes me think of that movie, Meet the Fockers, and Robert De Niro and the prosthetic breast. Anyway, so, oh God, that's just too funny. So anyway, this will help you align yourself. This will help you. There's some dialogue, some interaction. It could be visiting somebody who is home or represents home and family, going back to your home, and something clicks, and there is this moment of illumination, and you see or experience or feel physically in your body a sensation of a coming together, a closure of some early wounding or lack of harmony, this kind of thing. And I think that you're going to really enjoy this Christmas. I just think that, if there's somebody who's stressing you out about the finances, kind of that thing, or somebody who's just kind of taking your generosity too far, you don't have to kill them. You could tell, boy, I'm Cuban, so everything revolves around either killing you, eating you, or doing you. It's very strange. So just try to make harmony of it. And I think in general, what I want to say overall to you guys is that you look at this and it looks crazy. There is this sense of fairness that is already inherent for you. You guys really want balance and fairness. You really do seek equality, and justice for all means something to you. And, on an intellectual level, you guys really want to be there. It takes a very affected Libra, is what I want to say, to see anything else come out. Jealousy, anger, rage, physical violence, kick you in the ass. You really don't see that with Libra. There has to be something already wrong, with this picture. So you guys are the ones that may have to put a stop to even what you see happening with one of your children. Maybe somebody's treating them unfairly. Maybe your ex-wife, their mother, is being doing it wrong. There could be some things that need to be discussed, but why don't we wait to get until I would try to not talk about it unless it comes up organically, meaning that it wasn't because I, hit you in the nuts and you kicked me and now we're yelling. If it's just something that comes up because the discussion is provoked somehow naturally, then say what you need to say. But I want you to just kind of keep in mind that other people may not be feeling as zen as you. And if you get a crazy person who's already pissed off at the world and now the credit card bills start rolling in it, and you say something like, hey, so are we splitting this tuition for this kid? And they're like, rage attack. And you're like, oh my God. So I would try to put it off until about mid-February. And for the more contentious talks, if it's anything else that's very various and sundry, daily, kind of mundane, routine, monotonous, those things you could feel free to do because you've got a lot of protection there in Pisces, where you could even have what we call the Midas touch. But just remember, Libra, that Chiron sometimes has a way of making peace and healing the wounded child by doing very outrageous and very strange things. So I would say go easy. Don't put holes in your face. Don't mark up the body. Don't, you want a barcode? Paint one on there with some Sharpies.